Chapter 3. The Gathering Storm. Aran's boots crunched against the gravel road as he made his way toward Brynwick, the shard at his belt pulsing faintly with every step. The forest had given way to rolling hills, and the air smelled of damp earth and wildflowers. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across the landscape. His mind was a whirlwind of thoughts. The fall of Eldermere played on repeat in his head. The screams, the flames, the bodies. He clenched his fists, trying to push the images away, but they clung to him like shadows. What is this shard, he wondered, glancing down at the pouch where it rested. Why did it choose me? The shard had healed him, yes, but it also felt alive, like it was watching, waiting. Aran wasn't sure if that was comforting or terrifying. The road to Brynwick. As he walked, Aran passed a few travelers, a farmer leading a cart of hay, a pair of merchants arguing over the price of spices, and a lone bard strumming a lute by the roadside. The bard nodded at Aran as he passed, his fingers dancing over the strings. "Care for a tune, traveler?" the bard called out. Aran shook his head. "Not today," he said, though he tossed the man a copper coin. The bard grinned and launched into a lively melody, his voice carrying on the wind. Further down the road, Aran encountered a group of refugees huddled around a campfire. Their faces were drawn, their clothes tattered. One of them, a woman with a baby in her arms, looked up at him with hollow eyes. "You come from Eldermere?" she asked, her voice trembling. Aran nodded. "Yeah. You?" "No," she said. "Our village was attacked too, by those red soldiers." Aran's stomach churned. The Crimson Legion's reach was farther than he'd thought. "Where are you headed?" he asked. "Brynwick," she replied. "Heard it's safe there. For now, at least." Aran wished them luck and continued on his way, his heart heavy. The world was falling apart, and he had no idea how to fix it. By the time Aran reached Brynwick, the sun had set, and the town was bathed in the warm glow of lantern light. The gates were open, but guards patrolled the walls, their eyes scanning the horizon. The town itself was a bustling hub of activity, with the merchants hawking their wares, children chasing each other through the streets, and the smell of roasting meat wafting from the inn. Aran made his way to the Rusty Flagon, the largest inn in town. The building was a sturdy structure of timber and stone, with a sign above the door depicting a tankard overflowing with foam. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of ale, sweat, and smoke from the hearth. The common room was packed with patrons, farmers, traders, mercenaries, and refugees. A minstrel played a lively tune in the corner, and the sound of laughter and clinking mugs filled the air. Despite the chaos outside, life in Brynwick seemed to go on. Aran found an empty table near the fire and ordered a bowl of stew and a tankard of ale. As he ate, he listened to the conversations around him. "Heard the Crimson Legion's moving north," a man at the next table said. "Aye," his companion replied. "They're after something big." Aran's ears perked up. He leaned over. "You know anything about the Crimson Legion?" The men glanced at him, their expressions wary. "Why do you ask?" "My village was attacked," Aran said. "I'm trying to figure out what they're after." One of the men shrugged. "Rumor is they're looking for some kind of artifact, something powerful." Before Aran could press further, a voice interrupted. "Mind if I join you?" Aran looked up to see a tall woman with dark curly hair and amber eyes. She wore flowing robes in shades of gold and blue, and two curved sabers hung at her hips. Beside her stood a stocky dwarf with a braided beard and a hammer slung over his shoulder. "Sure," Aran said, gesturing to the empty chairs. Aran looked up to see a tall woman with dark curly hair and amber eyes. She wore flowing robes in shades of gold and blue, and two curved sabers hung at her hips. Beside her stood a stocky dwarf with a braided beard and a hammer slung over his shoulder. "Sure," Aran said, gesturing to the empty chairs. The woman sat down, her movements graceful and deliberate. The dwarf plopped into his seat with a grunt, setting his hammer on the floor. "Name's Nefrai al-Sahir," the woman said, extending a hand, "and this is Borgel Boulderbeard." "Aran Galados," Aran replied, shaking her hand. "We couldn't help but overhear," Nefrai said. "You've had a run-in with the Crimson Legion?" Aran nodded. They destroyed my village. I'm trying to figure out why. Borgel leaned forward, his voice low. They're after the shards, pieces of an ancient artifact called the Divine Eye. We've been tracking them too. Aran's heart skipped a beat. You know about the shards? Nefri's eyes narrowed. You've seen one? Aran hesitated, then reached into his pouch and pulled out the shard. It glowed faintly, casting a golden light on their faces. Borgel whistled. Well, I'll be damned. You're one lucky guy. Lucky? Aran asked, raising an eyebrow. Aye, Borgel said, leaning back in his chair. Shards can have enormous powers, but they're not always kind to their bearers. Sometimes they can overwhelm you, burn you out from the inside if you're not careful. Nefri nodded, her amber eyes serious. The shards are fragments of the Divine Eye, an artifact of unimaginable power. But that power comes at a cost. It can heal, protect, and enhance, or it can consume. Aran glanced down at the shard in his hand, its golden glow pulsing faintly. So why did it choose me? That's a question only the shard can answer, Nefri said. But for now, you're one of us. We're Shardseekers, people chosen by the shards to protect them and stop Raencor from using their power to plunge Malnoria into darkness. Borgel grunted in agreement. And if we don't stop him, he'll use the Divine Eye to impose his twisted vision of order on the world. No freedom, no choice, just control. Aran frowned, his mind racing. So what's the plan? Nefri leaned forward, her voice low but steady. We head to the capital, Val Isova. The rest of our group is there, gathering information and preparing for what's to come. It's the safest place to plan our next move. Aye, Borgel added, tapping the table with a thick finger. And it's where we'll find the archives of Lysara. If there's any record of the shards or the Divine Eye, it'll be there. Aran nodded slowly. The idea of going to the capital was daunting, but it felt like the right move. When do we leave? First light, Nefri said. We'll need to move quickly. The Crimson Legion is already on the move, and Raencor won't stop until he has all the shards. Borgel raised his tankard, a grin spreading across his bearded face. To the Shardseekers. Aran clinked his mug against theirs, a sense of purpose settling over him. For the first time since Eldermere, he felt like he wasn't alone.